If I told you that just one mindset shift could determine whether you become a winner in life or stay stuck forever, would you believe me? Here's a shocking truth that might make you uncomfortable. 95% of people remain stagnant, not because they lack talent, resources, or opportunities, but because of one invisible barrier living inside their minds. Right now, as you're watching this video, your brain is either wired for unlimited growth and success, or it's trapped in a prison of self-imposed limitations. And here's what's absolutely mind-blowing. Stanford University spent 20 years studying this phenomenon, and what they discovered will completely shatter everything you thought you knew about achievement, intelligence, and human potential. Over the next 22 minutes, I'm going to reveal the scientific breakthrough that explains why some people seem to win in every area of their lives, while others, despite having equal or even superior natural abilities, remain stuck in mediocrity. You're about to discover the 5 core transformation strategies that separate the top 1% from everyone else. And I'll share a real-life case study of someone who went from complete failure to industry leadership using nothing but this one psychological shift. We're diving deep into Stanford researcher Carol Dweck's groundbreaking 20-year study that tracked thousands of individuals and uncovered the secret that elite performers in every field, from business moguls to Olympic athletes to Nobel Prize winners, all share. You'll learn exactly how your brain rewires itself based on your beliefs, why most people accidentally sabotage their own success, and, most importantly, the exact 7-step system to reprogram your mind for unstoppable growth. Plus, I'll show you real brain scans that prove this isn't just positive thinking. This is hard neuroscience. Let's start with something that will blow your mind. Your brain has approximately 86 billion neurons. And here's what most people don't realize. These neurons are constantly forming new connections based on what you believe about yourself and your abilities. This isn't metaphysical wishful thinking. This is cutting-edge neuroscience called neuroplasticity. When researchers at Stanford scanned the brains of people with different mindsets, they found something extraordinary. People who believed their abilities could be developed showed dramatically different neural patterns compared to those who believed their talents were fixed. Dr. Carol Dweck's revolutionary research began with a simple question: why do some people thrive on challenges while others are crushed by them? Her team followed thousands of students, professionals, and athletes over 2 decades, and what they discovered changed everything we thought we knew about success. The brain scans revealed that when people with a growth mindset encountered difficulties, their brains lit up with activity in regions associated with learning and problem solving. But when people with fixed mindsets faced the same challenges, their brains showed patterns similar to those experiencing physical pain. This means that your beliefs about your abilities literally reshape your brain's architecture. When you believe you can improve, your brain creates new neural pathways that make learning easier. When you believe your abilities are set in stone, your brain actually resists forming new connections. It's like having a Ferrari engine, but keeping it locked in first gear, because you don't believe it can go faster. Now, let me show you the 7 deadly signs of a fixed mindset that might be sabotaging your success right now. First, you catch yourself saying, "I'm not good at this," instead of "I'm not good at this yet." That single word "yet" represents the difference between a closed door and an open pathway. Second, you avoid challenges because you're afraid of looking stupid or incompetent. Your brain has been programmed to protect your image rather than expand your abilities. Third, you view effort as a sign of weakness or lack of natural talent. This is perhaps the most destructive belief because it makes you give up right when you're about to break through. Fourth, you ignore useful negative feedback because it threatens your self-image. Fifth, you feel threatened by other people's success instead of inspired by it. Sixth, You give up easily when things get difficult, telling yourself, it's not meant to be. And seventh, you believe that, if you're truly talented at something, it should come naturally without much effort. Let me tell you about two students with identical IQ scores who took the same challenging math course. Sarah believed intelligence was fixed. You either have it or you don't. When she struggled with the first few assignments, she concluded she wasn't a math person and stopped trying. Her grades plummeted, and she eventually dropped the course. Meanwhile, Michael believed that mathematical ability could be developed through practice and learning. When he struggled with the same assignments, he thought, I haven't mastered this concept yet, and sought help from tutors, studied harder, and practiced more problems. By the end of the semester, Michael was among the top performers in the class. The difference wasn't intelligence, background, or natural talent. It was their fundamental belief about the nature of ability itself. Sarah's fixed mindset created a self-fulfilling prophecy of failure, while Michael's growth mindset opened up possibilities for improvement and success. Here's where it gets really exciting. People with growth mindsets share 5 core characteristics that you can develop starting today. First, they view challenges as opportunities to grow rather than threats to their ego. When they encounter something difficult, their first thought isn't, I can't do this, but how can I figure this out? This single shift transforms obstacles from roadblocks into stepping stones. Second, they embrace failure as a learning experience rather than a reflection of their worth. Thomas Edison famously said he didn't fail 1,000 times while inventing the light bulb. He found 1,000 ways that didn't work. Each failure brought him closer to success because he extracted valuable information from every attempt. Third, they understand that effort is the path to mastery, not evidence of inadequacy. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team, but instead of concluding he wasn't meant to play basketball, he used that rejection as fuel to work harder than anyone else. He understood that talent without effort is just unrealized potential, but effort can unlock abilities you never knew you had. Fourth, they learn from criticism and feedback instead of taking it personally. When someone points out an area for improvement, they don't hear you're not good enough, they hear, here's how you can get better. This allows them to continuously upgrade their skills and knowledge. Fifth, they find inspiration in other people's success, rather than feeling threatened by it. When they see someone excel, they think, if they can do it, I can learn to do it too, rather than they're just naturally gifted and I'm not. The neuroscience behind this is fascinating. Brain imaging studies show that people with growth mindsets have increased activity in areas associated with learning, attention, and memory formation. Their brains literally become more efficient at acquiring new skills and knowledge. It's like upgrading your mental operating system to run faster and handle more complex tasks. Now let's get practical. Here's your 7-step system to transform your mindset and unlock your potential. Step 1 is becoming aware of your fixed mindset voice. We all have that inner critic that says, you're not smart enough, you'll never be good at this, or why even try? The first step isn't to eliminate this voice, it's to recognize it when it shows up. Step 2 is redefining what failure means. Instead of seeing failure as evidence that you're not capable, start viewing it as data that helps you improve. Every failure contains valuable information about what doesn't work, bringing you one step closer to what does work. Step 3 is embracing the power of not yet. When you catch yourself saying, I can't do this, add the word yet to the end. I can't do this yet implies that with time, effort, and the right strategies, you will eventually be able to do it. Step 4 is creating a progressive challenge system. Instead of avoiding difficult tasks, deliberately seek out challenges that are just beyond your current comfort zone. This is called the zone of proximal development, the sweet spot where learning happens most effectively. Step 5 is establishing feedback loops. Actively seek out information about your performance and progress. This might mean asking for feedback from mentors, tracking your improvement over time, or analyzing what worked and what didn't after each attempt. Step 6 is cultivating curiosity and love of learning. Instead of focusing solely on outcomes, develop genuine interest in the process of getting better. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Rather than, will I succeed at this? Step 7 is celebrating progress over perfection. Acknowledge and reward yourself for effort, improvement, and learning, not just final results. This reinforces the behaviors that lead to long-term success. Let me show you how this works in different areas of life. In your career, instead of thinking, I'm not a natural leader, try, I'm developing my leadership skills. When you receive criticism from your boss, instead of feeling defensive, ask what specific actions can I take to improve. When you see a colleague get promoted, instead of thinking they're just lucky, ask, what strategies did they use that I can learn from? In relationships, instead of thinking we're just not compatible, try we're learning how to communicate better. When conflicts arise, instead of thinking this relationship is doomed, ask what is this teaching us about each other's needs. When you see other couples who seem happy, instead of thinking they just got lucky, ask what relationship skills can I develop. In health and fitness, instead of thinking I'm not athletic, try I'm building my physical capabilities. When you struggle with a workout, instead of thinking I'm too out of shape, think my body is adapting and getting stronger. When you see someone in great shape, instead of thinking they have good genes, ask what habits and practices can I adopt. The key is consistently applying these mental shifts until they become automatic. Your brain will literally rewire itself to default to growth-oriented thinking patterns. Now, let me address some common misconceptions about growth mindset. It's not about blind optimism or pretending that talent doesn't matter. Natural abilities do exist, and they give some people advantages in certain areas. However, talent alone is never enough for sustained success. History is full of naturally gifted people who achieved very little because they relied solely on their talent without developing it through effort and practice. Growth mindset also doesn't mean you should believe you can become anything you want, regardless of realistic limitations. It means believing you can substantially improve in any area you choose to focus on, and that your current level of ability is not your permanent ceiling. The biggest obstacles you'll face are often environmental. You might be surrounded by people who have fixed mindsets and who unconsciously discourage your growth efforts. They might say things like, "Don't get your hopes up, be realistic," or "That's just not who you are." Recognize that these comments often come from their own fears and limitations, not from any truth about your potential. Internal fear is another major obstacle. Your brain is wired to keep you safe, and growth requires stepping into uncertainty. When you feel afraid of failing or looking foolish, remember that this discomfort is actually a sign that you're pushing beyond your current limits, exactly where growth happens. When progress seems slow, it's easy to revert to fixed mindset thinking. Remember that meaningful improvement often happens gradually, and there will be plateaus where you don't see obvious progress. This is when your commitment to growth mindset matters most. Building a support system is crucial. Seek out people who embody growth mindset principles, join communities focused on learning and improvement. Find mentors who can guide your development and hold you accountable to your growth goals. Let me share a detailed case study that illustrates this entire transformation. Meet Jennifer, a marketing professional who was stuck in the same position for 5 years. She believed she wasn't creative enough for senior roles and avoided taking on challenging projects because she was afraid of failing publicly. Her fixed mindset kept her playing small and safe. The turning point came when she learned about growth mindset research. She started by recognizing her fixed mindset voice, and began challenging those thoughts. Instead of, "I'm not creative," she started thinking, "I'm developing my creative abilities." She volunteered for a high-visibility campaign that scared her, viewing it as a learning opportunity rather than a test of her worth. When the campaign initially struggled, instead of seeing it as proof of her inadequacy, she gathered feedback, analyzed what wasn't working, and made adjustments. She sought mentorship from senior creative directors and studied successful campaigns in her industry. 6 months later, her revised campaign became one of the company's most successful launches. This success wasn't the end goal, it was evidence that her growth mindset approach was working. She continued seeking challenges, learning from setbacks, and developing new skills. Within 2 years, she was promoted to creative director, and within 4 years, she became VP of marketing at a larger company. The latest research from leading universities continues to validate these findings. Neuroimaging studies show that people who adopt growth mindsets develop increased gray matter in areas associated with learning and memory. Longitudinal studies tracking people over decades show that those with growth mindsets achieve higher levels of success, report greater life satisfaction, and demonstrate better resilience in the face of setbacks. Companies that foster growth mindset cultures show higher levels of innovation, employee engagement, and financial performance. Students taught growth mindset principles show improved academic performance, especially when facing difficult subjects. Athletes who embrace growth mindset training demonstrate better skill development and mental toughness under pressure. The evidence is overwhelming. Your mindset isn't just a nice philosophical concept, it's a fundamental determinant of what you'll achieve in life. Let me summarize the 5 core principles we've covered today. First, understand that your abilities are not fixed. They can be developed through dedication and hard work. Second, embrace challenges as opportunities to grow rather than threats to avoid. Third, view effort as the pathway to mastery, not evidence of inadequacy. Fourth, learn from criticism and failures rather than being discouraged by them. Fifth, find inspiration in others' success rather than feeling threatened by it. But here's the most important point. Understanding these principles intellectually isn't enough. You must actively practice them until they become your default way of thinking. Start today by identifying one area where you've been operating from a fixed mindset and apply these strategies consistently for the next 30 days. I want to hear from you in the comments below. Share your growth mindset transformation plan with our community. Which of these strategies resonates most with you? What's one challenge you're going to embrace this week to practice your growth mindset? And here's a community challenge. Commit to 30 days of growth mindset practice and document your journey. Tag someone who needs to hear this message and could benefit from developing a growth mindset. If this video opened your eyes to the power of mindset transformation, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. I regularly share cutting-edge research on psychology, neuroscience, and personal development that can help you unlock your full potential. Give this video a thumbs up if it provided value. It helps more people discover these life-changing insights. And please share this with someone who could benefit from understanding how their mindset shapes their reality. Remember, your mindset determines your altitude. Every expert was once a beginner, every professional was once an amateur, and every icon was once an unknown. The only difference between where you are now and where you want to be is your willingness to embrace growth, learn from challenges, and persist in the face of setbacks. Your journey of transformation starts right now. Embrace the growth mindset and watch as your world expands with new possibilities you never thought were within your reach.